Excuse me, teacher. Could you please explain the present indefinite tense?
Of course, the present indefinite tense is used to describe actions that are habitual, routine, or general facts. It's quite simple once you get the hang of it.
So, how do we form sentences in the present indefinite tense?
Well, in the present indefinite tense, the basic structure of a sentence is quite straightforward. You have the subject followed by the verb in its base, first form, and then any objects or complements if necessary.
So, for example, in a sentence like, she plays tennis, she is the subject, plays is the verb, and tennis is the object.
Exactly, you've got it. She is the subject, plays is the verb, and tennis is the object. This sentence describes a habitual action, indicating that she regularly engages in playing tennis.
And what about sentences where the subject is a pronoun like he, she, it, or a singular noun? How does the verb change?
Ah, good question. When the subject is a third-person singular pronoun like he, she, it, or a singular noun, we usually add an s, e, s, or I, e, s to the base form of the verb. For example, he plays soccer, she reads books, it flies high, or Najma cooks food.
I see. So it's like adding an ses or ies to the base form only for the third person singular and singular nouns. Could you give some examples of when to add ses or ies to the base form?
Certainly. For most verbs, we simply add s to the base form for the third-person singular subjects or singular nouns, he, she, it, name. For example, he eats, she plays, it works, Nasima reads. Additionally, for verbs ending in o, s, x, s, ch, we add es. For instance, she goes, he passes, it fixes, Najma washes, teacher teaches. And for verbs ending in a consonant plus y, we change y to ies for the third-person singular subjects. For example, she, fly, flies. He, study, studies. It, try, tries. Remember, it is consonant plus y, not vowel plus y. For vowel plus y, just add s to the base form, like he plays.
Excuse me, teacher. I have another question. How do we form negative sentences in the present indefinite tense?
Ah, excellent question. Forming negative sentences in the present indefinite tense is quite simple. We use the helping verb do or does along with not, and the base form of the verb.
Could you give me an example?
Of course. Let's take the sentence, she plays tennis, as our example. To make it negative, we would say, she does not play tennis.
So, we add not after does.
That's right. Does not is the negative form of the helping verb does. And notice that we use does because our subject is she, a third-person singular pronoun. In the same way, we use does not for he, it, and singular noun.
Got it. So, for other subjects like I, you, we, they, and plural nouns, we use do not.
Exactly. For instance, I, we, you, they students do not play tennis, and he, she, it, Ali does not play tennis. Remember, we do not add s, e, s, or I, e, s at the end of verb while making negative sentences.
That makes sense. And what about questions in the present indefinite tense?
Well, questions are formed by starting the sentence with do or does. For example, does she play tennis?
So, we use does for third-person singular subjects and singular nouns, while do for all other subjects.
Precisely. You've got it. Does for third-person singular subjects like he, she, it, or singular noun, and do for all other subjects like I, you, we, and they, and plural nouns.
Got it. But what if the question starts with a WH word, like what, where, when, how, why?
Ah, good question. In that case, we start the question with the WH word, followed by the helping verb do or does, and then the subject and the base form of the verb. For example, what does she eat? Or where do they live?
Yes, teacher. It's much clearer now. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. If you have any more questions or need further clarification, feel free to ask. Let us practice the present indefinite tense by listening to the Sabrina and Ahmed, who are talking to each other using present indefinite tense. You should repeat each dialogue after them to master this tense. Let's start.